It is like the pinnacle of talking season right now because, of course, it's ACC kickoff and the coaches and players are talking. But we are this close to actually players popping pads on the field. Florida State a week ahead of just about the rest of the nation, of course, with a week 0. Therefore, practice gets moved up. Next Wednesday, we get started in Tallahassee. And, of course, we get started right now. Florida State Seminoles live for a 166th time. Jason Parker, NBC6, and up top, Logan Robinson, Knoll Game Day. Boys, how we doing?
I'm more excited than anything because this is the week the viewers wait for. This is the week in the summer where our friend Logan Bartholomew Robinson.
Whoa!
Just get ready, fans. Not only are you gonna have my hot take, which I guarantee you will piss off several fan bases in the state of Florida. Get ready for that one coming up at the end of today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, Logan is going to talk about player weight during today's show. Guys, get excited. Stick around. Grab a cold beverage. Logan is going to talk about how much players weigh. Get ready for an exciting hour of programming.
If anybody out there is not aware of this, Logan gets, aside from the actual games on the field, probably number 2 on the excitement list for Logan is players in the weight room.
Right.
Pump and iron, and then what are the results of that? What are they lifting? What are they weighing? He loves it.
Absolutely love it. One of my favorite things, also with jersey number changes too. That also is really heavy this week too, which we can't leave the night without discussing a few number changes that happened over the last week and a half. But overall, though, it is finally fall camp time. We had the ACC Media Day today, which I'm sure we'll discuss. We got a fall camp date. If you guys were in the Discord, Jason, you guys knew about that about a week and a half ago.
2 minutes in.
But
2 minutes into the show.
Discord, got to get there, folks.
If you were in the Discord, you kind of already knew when fall camp was beginning. But Mike Norvell decided to confirm with all of us today during the ACC Media Day that Florida State will start camp on Wednesday. So really a week from now, we'll be out there covering Florida State's beginning of the 2022 season, which is going to be a wild one, I am imagining. But absolutely stoked to actually talk about a fall camp and preview that. And there's a lot of good storylines that I think that will be fun to follow the next couple of weeks leading into that week 0 game against Duquesne.
So Jason is the illustrious producer of this show.
Wait,
you of course can say this is going to serve as a tease, and Logan can address the heights and weights and all that business later, and we'll start with ACC kickoff, or we'll just continue with the measurements portion of this show.
Dear God, let's avoid doing the measurements at all possible. So let's spend the next 45 minutes talking about ACC kickoff. We'll do my hot take and then say goodbye. How does that sound?
No, we're not missing the heights and weight. No, we need the measurements from Logan.
I'll pay you.
I enjoy it.
I will pay you.
I love it.
Dear God, make it stop.
Make it stop.
It's not the content we want. It's the content we need. That's basically what Logan's going to give you today.
It can't stop whenever you see Maurice Smith, who most certainly needed to put on some size. And I think a lot of Florida State fans know that. That's your center, and I still think I'm projecting him as being the starter heading into the season after what I saw in the spring. He puts on 17 pounds. 17 pounds. Maurice Smith still around the 288, 290 mark heading into this fall camp. That was a position where he really needed to put on. I mean, this was one of his biggest goals, I think, this spring. You know, there was always some health things that was prohibiting him, I think, on gaining this. But for a guy that has needed to put on size for a little while now, it seems like Coach Storms and that nutrition staff did what they needed to do this spring. I'm sure they're going to continue to develop him and add size there. But Maurice Smith, I think the knock on him is obviously his size. And for a guy to be that deep into the interior at center, you want to have a guy that's a little bit more bulkier and has some weight to hold it down at the front line. And so adding on an extra 17, I think, is huge. Another one worth noting. And although it shows on the roster that Jordan Travis gained 11 pounds up to 212, he did admit to all of us at ACC Media Day that he is at 205 on the roster. It says 212. But, you know, I think the staff and Coach Storms strength and conditioning coach is going to continue to develop them and put on some size for Jordan Travis, because that's another person that has needed to add some size onto him. Cameron McDonald up 5 more pounds. I'm trying to note a few more. Jalen Early, offensive lineman, went from 325 to 338. So a lot of these you got to kind of also consider, should they be trimming too? Whenever you get into fall camp, you're going to trim off anyways, and you're going to lose weight. And that's just going to happen. So the one that's really notable that I think,
dear sweet God,
and the big man group, what happened?
You're talking about 4 different players in their weight. I'm just going to ask you, will any of these weights actually help us beat Florida this year? Will any of these weights actually help us make a bowl game?
Now, come on,
That's
Jason.
all I care about.
Before Logan addresses that, you may think it's boring, but it's obviously important.
It's important to Logan. You know what? You are right. I apologize to Logan. I should be a more supportive older brother. If Logan is happy, we support Logan in his efforts. You are right.
If we found out that Florida State just got a commit from a 212-pound guard, wouldn't you be concerned about that?
I just sorry. I'm not going to get obsessed with player weight. I'm not going to get obsessed with verbal commitments. I'm going to get obsessed with just beating Duquesne.
Are we being the old? Are we being old school? Are we being too old now? We're being old, Jason. We're being old.
You're talking about the weight of
you need to drink again. I need you to drink again. I need you to drink again and have some fun. Anyways, Fabian Lovett, 306 pounds at 318. 306 pounds at 318 plus 12. Are you worried about that he's gained too much, Jason?
I'm just letting you continue. So here, fine. You know what, Mark? You brought this upon yourself. Let's continue. Follow up, Logan. How much weight do you think Jordan Travis has to be at to start the season? What is his goal? What is his goal weight, Mr. GNC expert?
The goal weight, from what I've heard over the whole offseason, was 215. I think he shared that today during the ACC Media Day. 215 is the goal. I know there was some smoke that he was around 220, 225, something like this offseason. I never saw that happening. The goal was always around 215. So we'll see if he wants to continue to add that. But for a guy that has dealt with quite a bit of injuries throughout his career at Florida State, adding on a little bit more size is nice. I know you're not seeing much change with Toa Philly too. I know some people complaining about that, but I will say during the spring, he was Florida State's best goal line running back, which was definitely a shocker to us whenever we saw that. But that's a guy that's probably one of your smallest in that running back room with Rodney Hill. So other than that, that's really the noteworthy, really weight changes there. But the Maurice Smith one, I think, is definitely most certainly worth noting, because if Maurice Smith would have stayed at 271 and had a whole spring, those many months not to gain anything, then fans would probably be pretty ticked.
And it's probably the first time, I would argue, since Jimbo Fisher was the head coach that there's been a serious emphasis on players gaining weight, gaining strength, gaining muscle. But I guess my question to Logan would be, what has changed? What has Mike Norvell done differently? Is it both the assistant coaches? Is it the difference in the weight program from the Willie Taggart administration to the Mike Norvell administration? What are you seeing? Because you're up there in Tallahassee, you've seen it firsthand. What are you seeing with this team?
I wouldn't say too much of a change. I think it's now consistency. Now, like Mike Norvell said today at the ACC Media Day, this is now a true second-year offseason that Florida State is able to have. Mike Norvell came in during the pandemic. Things were all over the place. You had players going back home and their parents' houses. They're, trying to lift with whatever they had. They're doing pull-ups off of fences. You saw Keyshawn Hilton doing workouts literally off the top of a fence doing pull-ups. I mean, they had much of nothing really to work with. You had the coaching staff, the whole staff, the program sending them food, protein. I think now it's just the consistency, and you're seeing now the gains that some guys need, like Lloyd Willis putting on an additional 13 pounds. Some of these guys really, really need that. I don't think now moving to the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a big problem with that, just because of what Florida State's been able to do in the recruiting trail, bringing in guys that are already at that size caliber that can compete with the SEC. Guys in the trenches, you're already recruiting that now. But for guys that are veterans, guys that have been on this team for a while, that have had to add size definitely up front, there's really good progress there. So we'll see. I think the biggest one to me to keep an eye on, if I'm worried about a guy not being conditioned and a guy that might have been projected as a starter, was Caden Lyles, the center from Wisconsin. I'm worried about him. I'm worried about him not being conditioned. I don't think he could play for 4 quarters after what I saw in the spring. I want to see what he did during the spring to see, did he fix that? Did he work on his body? Did he condition and trim up a little bit? And so that's something I always like to try to keep an eye on, because that's a little worrisome after what I saw.
I more importantly, I'm going to agree with Gregory here. I think I want to see every player outside of the ACC. I want to see them playing an SEC schedule, Big Ten schedule. Hell, at this rate, send us to the Big 12. I don't care. Get out of the ACC. Guys, it's been 18 days. Excuse me, I apologize. It's been 16 days since I posted that Pulitzer Prize winning article on why the Big Ten should take Miami and Florida State. I stand by that. Guys, we are still trapped in the ACC. We're going to start a GoFundMe. We're going to raise the money. At this rate, let's go to Conference USA. I don't care. Get out of the ACC.
Well, 2 things here, Jason. First of all, I'm going to take Logan's spiel about the player weights and what it's going to take to match up with the SEC, and I'm going to translate that. I'm going to transition that to what it's going to take to compete in the Big Ten, because that's what you would like to see, and they definitely got to bulk up to play big boy football in the Big Ten. Number 2, Jason, what you should do is you should grab the link of that Pulitzer Prize winning article, and you should put that in the live chat for everyone to be able to grab the link.
I mean, but then they have to go to NBCMiami.com, type in Jason Parker. It'll pop right up right away. You will get to see it right away.
Easy for everyone.
You will see my greatness. Plus, we will get more page views on our website, and that'll help with my salary. So go ahead, go to NBCMiami.com. But more importantly, no, it's literally all kidding aside. And this was the first time that Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, was able to address the issue. He even messed up how many teams are in the conference in his first speech today. He didn't even know. He said there were 17 teams in the conference. There's only 15 if you count Notre Dame and the other non-football.
Well, you don't count
sports.
Notre Dame for one thing.
No, in the other non-football sports we do. So we have 15.
Yeah.
Count Notre Dame. But that's the point, is the commissioner doesn't even know how many teams are in the conference. That's the conference that we are in right now at this moment. The ACC is, at this point, we just have to say it, it is a joke. It is a joke that we're still in it. People have written before that we should have left years ago. I'm starting to think they're right. At this rate, I don't know if it's going to be in the next 2 years, if it's going to be in the next 5 years. At some point, we have to get out of the ACC as soon as possible. ASAP. Logan, can't Noel Game Day sponsor something to get us out?
I ain't there yet. We're far, far away.
Come on.
Far away.
Get that Sports Illustrated money. Come on now.
Slowly but surely.
We passed 100,000 combined subscribers this week, so maybe we can use our weight.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Thank you. About 4,000. No, about 2,500 here at the Florida State channel. We need to do better than that, folks.
You gotta hit the subscribe button.
We're here.
I know you're here.
Don't blame us. We're here this week. Well, some of us are here this week. Logan decided.
No, here we go. I knew that was coming.
Absolutely, 100%.
Family time. Got to spend the family time before we're on here for 7 months straight, probably. I would imagine 7 months straight.
You can be on here 7 months straight.
You ain't gonna be on here 7 months straight.
I love you guys, but that ain't happening.
But yeah, no, I mean, I thought there was some good stuff. I guess we'll dive into outside, because I know we've had a lot of talk, I'm sure, with the ACC, Big Ten, SEC, all that kind of jazz. I'm kind of at the point where I think also FSU fans are, now that we got to hear from some of the players today. Just tired of the whole conference talk. That will happen when it happens, or when the reports come out. That'll be shared. But we actually got to hear some good stuff from Jamie Robinson, who I thought really, really is confident, it seems like, in himself, but also in the defense. He said that he thinks that the secondary is going to be really dangerous this year. And that's something that I think a lot of outlets covering this team are expecting. You bring back guys that have been with the program for years and years, and then you bring in some young talent that flashed last season with Kevin Knowles, Marion Cooper. You bring in a guy like Greedy Vance too, and you got Renardo Green fully healthy. And then you got Akeem Dent and Jamie Robinson, which could be one of the nastiest tandems in the ACC at safety. So I saw a lot of confidence out of Jamie, and then also going over to Coach Norvell, and you see a little bit more of he's really showing us that this team has more leadership with one another and calling each other out on things and holding each other accountable. That's something that he wanted to fix immediately once arriving in Tallahassee. And the accountability, I think, is going to be a big thing moving forward. If Florida State's going to have to find success on the field, that's going to be a big one. But you see more of a family brotherhood that has needed to be built from the ground up after losing that between the Jimbo Fisher and that collapse and then Taggart collapse there of the locker room.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I think it was good to hear Norvell, Fabian Lovett, Jamie Robinson, and Jordan Travis talk about that. I mean, you're in a position right now with this Florida State program. Look, I mean, you and I are going to be loyal to this school because this is our alma mater. We're tied to Florida State forever because of that piece of paper. We're proud Noles. But you have to hold yourself accountable. The last 5 seasons have been unacceptable by Florida State standards. But the question is going to be, I guess, and I'll point this to you, Logan. We've evaluated the schedule before. We've evaluated how this team could start the season. What to you is the standard? And I'm not saying what you think Florida State's going to be, but what is the standard right now for you for this Florida State team this season?
The bottom floor is going to be making a bowl game. It's embarrassing to go this long, and throughout the last couple of years, you can't even make it to a bowl game and compete. That's the lowest standard you can go as being a Florida State fan, person with the program, an athlete, like these players are saying at the ACC Media Day. That is the lowest it's going to go. The regular thing every year is competing for an ACC championship. This is going to be the last time that you will have divisions in the league next year. It will be the true 2 top teams in the ACC competing for that championship. The standard is always to be there competing for the ACC trophy at the end, and then that puts you into a New Year's Six bowl. Florida State has got to get back onto that caliber, and it's going to start with the locker room. That's something Mike Norvell has done, and he talked about it today during one of his press conferences, saying on the recruiting front, they're trying to bring in guys that fit the locker room. I mean, they can bring in talent, they can bring in guys that are highly ranked, but under their own evaluations, they're going to bring in guys that they feel like are going to mesh well with current players. And you see that with what they've been able to do, not only in the recruiting side of things, but in the transfer portal, bringing in guys like Jamie Robinson, bringing in guys like Fabian Lovett. I think some guys, some people might be surprised. A lot of these guys, I mean, Jordan Travis, all 3 players at ACC Media Day are all transfers. And Florida State has done a fantastic job in the transfer portal. Mike Norvell being one of the top coaches in the country, being able to select guys that are talented, who develop into becoming leaders, and now they lead their team into representing Florida State at ACC Media Day. And so I think that's something Florida State, got to give hat tip off to them and the staff and what they're able to do whenever they're pressed against a wall and put into some tough situations. And Florida State has got to continue to do that, not only having to rely on the transfer portal. You can't rely on that all the time, but you're starting to see a groove with the recruiting side of things and bringing in guys that mesh well. I mean, you look at Jared Verse, too, who I think is going to be a key factor and being a game changer for Florida State on defense this upcoming year. That's a transfer. And from what we saw in the spring, there's a lot to like. And that's just kind of my emphasis on the locker room changing the culture that was needed.
John, one of our loyal viewers, thank you for chiming in here. Excellent question. Winston Wright obviously had that horrific car accident earlier before even spring football started. So I guess my question to you and what he's saying there, could he play at all at some point this season? Or what are you hearing?
I'm hearing really optimistic things. I think Mike Norvell said it best. He's doing well in rehab, but he's not going to give away a timetable. He was already, a little limited to begin spring, and then the car accident happened, like you said, Jason, and that puts you back quite a bit. We've seen a few videos shared by some of the off-field staff going through workouts, and you can see that he's walking. At least seems like he's very active with at least going to view the workouts or doing some parts of it limited. But we'll find out really, firsthand. It's always limited on what we can say injury-wise next week. But I think there's some really good optimism that, maybe not available for week 0, but there's some potential where he could be a week one availability guy. And the worrisome for me, though, is that he hasn't had time to build a lot of chemistry with Jordan Travis. He didn't get to do it during the spring. He's going through rehab now. Depends on things behind closed doors that we don't get to see, if they're working out and catching passes and doing field work with one another. That's one thing that I am worried about, because we saw Andrew Parchment come in last year, fully healthy, good to go. I still feel like things were off there chemistry-wise, and I don't think that was such of a successful season. Who knows? I still think Winston Wright Jr. is kind of on a different maybe tier than Parchment, but still Andrew Parchment was a really talented wide receiver, getting a really good shot now with the Carolina Panthers. But I think it all comes down to, when you're a wide receiver, building that chemistry with your quarterback is huge. And so that's going to be something that I'll be keeping an eye on this fall camp. Can those two get on the same page? And if they get on the same page early, then that's a huge W for Florida State's wide receiver room, because that's an expected starter for the 2022 season.
Jason, going back to your question to Logan about the standard, not the Florida State standard, but expectations to look at this season, I will want you guys to recognize that actually Florida State came up during our Iowa show. You would never make that connection, but came up during our Iowa show on Tuesday, because we were talking about possible moves within college football to the Big Ten, the SEC. And I planted the flag and defended to the hilt Florida State's amazing legacy as an elite program going back to roughly 1980.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
I had to correct some misnomers out there about Florida State's status as a program, and threw out all the metrics to back up the greatness of Florida State.
Wait. Are you telling me that Iowa fans want some of this smoke? We give this smoke to Florida fans and Miami fans. If Iowa wants some of this smoke, they can come get some. I can ride on those Hawkeyes all day. Come on now.
Okay. We may have a Florida State Iowa series here at some point.
Come get some Hawkeyes.
There you go. All right. We also have Mr. G14 Classified, of course, always letting us know to support the voice of college football, and letting Jason know that the Discord is, an important thing. It's a factor. It's to be recognized.
You know what, Logan? Mazel tov on your Discord doing so well. We're gonna start bringing that word back there. We're gonna bring that phrase back. Mazel tov. It's coming back. Yep. Mazel tov to me for bringing back Mazel tov.
Now we're bringing them all everything's coming back.
The classics, we're throwing back. We're going to wear throwbacks, everything. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything, worth noting too from Jordan Travis today. I think EJ Manuel said it pretty best today on the broadcast, saying, Florida State's work on the offensive line front is something that they needed to do, and they've continued to do that. And one of the biggest reasons is to protect Jordan Travis. Travis said today the number one thing that he wants to work on is staying in that pocket. He doesn't want to scramble as much, and he did that in the latter half of the season. I felt like he got a lot more relaxed there, and you saw it with how much more, I think, accurate he was, and his touchdown to interception ratio, his pass attempts got a lot better there. Florida State making an emphasis there on the offensive line front and being able to switch guys all around. Mike Norvell felt like, using all these scholarships is going to come to fruition later on in the season if they need to have guys that are switched around. If there's a guy injured, Florida State was at a absolutely dreadful spot last year and what they had to do sometimes on road games and putting different guys in positions that hadn't even played that. I think Florida State feels pretty comfortable, and Mike Norvell and that offensive line protecting Jordan Travis going into this season. And Travis said too, the wide receiver room, it's been revamped. You've got transfers in now. You've got guys that started last year like Malik McLean, Ja'Kai Douglas, who have stepped up and now becoming, veteran guys that you can go to. And, you look at also Pokey Wilson, you got Keyshawn Helton, Kentron Portier. You got veterans there, but you've revamped it with transfers like Johnny Wilson, Micah Pittman. Also, Mike Norvell being very high on him today, calling him a dynamic player. He could be a weapon on offense, but also in the return game. And if Winston Wright Jr. is healthy, Deuce Spann is more of a project guy. Won't really see him that much this year, unless everything goes backwards on us, which you hope not. but still, that's a revamp room for Jordan Travis on both the wide receiver area and the O-line. And that's something I think Florida State has made a focus on. Build around your quarterback.
With you saying that, my follow-up to that would be this. How much more of a passing game will we see out of Jordan Travis? Like you said, you were correct. Towards the end of the season, we saw him throwing the ball a lot more. They seem to trust him a lot more as a passing quarterback and not just a quarterback with running the ball. Can we expect to see more of him passing this season, or what do you think?
With
And
that
how much
running,
more, I guess.
I'll say it like this. I don't feel like Florida State is going to put a heavy focus relying on Jordan Travis to throw because of that running back room. And I'll tell you why. There's three potential starters in that room with Treshaun Ward, who today just got put on the watch list for the Doak Walker Award. Congratulations to him. Still the focus is him being able to perform this upcoming season because you're going to be split carries with Trey Benson and Lawrence Toafili. I think it's really going to be a 1-2 punch between Benson and Ward. You're going to use Toafili more for navigating around the field and use it pass catcher. We saw how well he can be utilized last season. But Florida State and Mike Norvell, Kenny Dillingham is no longer here. This is going to be strictly coached and called by Mike Norvell. I think there was some splits there and game prep along with calling plays between Kenny Dillingham and Mike Norvell. Now it's stress. The full stress is on Mike Norvell and his offense, and this is what he did at Memphis very well. They're gonna want to put heavy emphasis on that run game, and now that they're building blockers to do that and bring the talent around them. Jordan Travis you're not going to have to rely on him as much, and him only building there and the pocket being able to stay there. That was one thing we saw in the spring, which it was more rare to see him scramble than anything. I'll be honest with you guys. You saw Tate Rodemaker, you saw young AJ Duffy, and they're scrambling quite a bit. It was very rare to see Jordan Travis this last spring camp scramble around. And I think fans are going to see that, weeks are on, some of our reports that we'll be putting out during fall camp. It's not likely to see Jordan Travis scrambling a lot. He'll make even a second, third read. He made a fourth read and during spring camp in the middle of it there, which was something nobody ever saw before from him. And, I understand too, this is practice. You're not going to get hit. Quarterback's not going to get hit. And so he's obviously a lot more comfortable than what he would be in week one against LSU, where he's definitely going to be a little bit more antsy, but still to see him trying to improve that is all you want to see. And I think the staff likes that.
We got LSU Florida State smack talk here in the guest chat.
Already talking some trash.
Guys.
I mean, it's kind of 24/7 though, no matter if it's May or October. It's 24/7. Timmy though has a good score there, 35-24 Florida State.
Jason Osborne with the bold statement that Bama broke FSU in 2017. Yeah, they've broken a lot of teams over the last decade. Consider us one of them. They broke Miami last year. They broke Florida a couple of years ago. So.
Yeah. Well, that Florida State game in 2017 was much closer than the Miami game was last year.
Well, they killed our quarterback.
If you watched the game.
They did, but they murdered our quarterback. They destroyed DeAndre.
They wrecked your season.
Recklessly.
Who knows what would happen.
You know what will bring our season back, though?
Oh.
Doing one thing. What is it, Logan?
Hitting the like button. Really now I feel like we need to hit the subscribe button, though. Maybe we're doing a really good job on the like button, but also hitting the subscribe button might be an even better idea because we got fall camp starting next week. This time, I don't know how it's going to work next week, but hopefully we'll be able to do a show and we'll actually be able to talk some practice going on. But hit the like button. We got 120 on here. I think last year at this time, a week before fall camp, there wasn't that many. So I feel like there's some fans right now pretty stoked about what is to expect with a big time fall camp. This is a critical year for Florida State and Mike Norvell. And the best thing to do is hit the subscribe button. If you hit the subscribe button, Jordan Travis stays healthy all year. If you didn't hit the subscribe button and something happens to him, then it's all on you. It's all on you. I'm just going to say, you're probably going to go up 50 subscribers right now, Mark. I'm just saying. I'm calling people out.
That's how this works?
Now we got to just start calling people out.
Wow. Okay. I think if you talk more about height and weight, I think that's going to be what brings the viewers in.
Yeah, it might be.
That's the content. That's the content you get over on No Game Day.
Mm-hmm. And the Discord.
I feel like
we've got a Discord too at the Voice of College Football. Everybody, so join us on the Discord. If you love Florida State, I'm going to say it this way: you love the Noles, you go to Logan's Discord on Nole Game Day. That's where you go, no doubt. You can join theirs. I'm going to point you there first and foremost. The rest of college football, we've got it covered. So join us on our Discord. We've jumped up about 10 people in the last few days. So we got about 60 on there on our Discord at the Voice of College Football. We've got a chat room for every conference. We'll probably expand it past that. Doing big things. You can talk college football 24/7, 365. Maybe we'll even get Jason in there at some point. And you can with Jason. No? You can't get you in the Discord? How about if I get you a free membership?
It's $2.99. I've got the money for it. Now it's just
that's Logan's is $2.99. We're a little pricier at $5 flat.
Well, it's not a pay week, so hold on.
It's just a pay week.
I have to hold up on that one.
Jason, I was going to ask you a question.
Here we go.
I was going to ask you a question.
183. Go ahead. What's up?
What's the biggest concern and your biggest what makes you feel the most comfortable going into this fall camp? We can start off either the good or the bad with either concerned, or which one do you feel really comfortable heading into this fall camp?
I feel the most comfortable with the way, as weird as this is going to sound, because we finished 5-7, the way last season ended for us. When we started the season 0-4, we just could have cut bait, said, you know what, we're done with this operation. Just finish the year 2-10, 3-9, call it a day. But I think there were a lot of games that we did fight. We stayed competitive. We beat a Miami team we had no business beating. We had a North Carolina team that really on paper we had no business beating. So, I mean, we got some quality wins. I think you could argue we beat a Boston College team that under the circumstances, I think that was a surprising win. I think we were equal in talent with them. But going on the road, I was happy with those wins. So I like the fight. I wish we hadn't given up that third quarter to Florida. Otherwise, I think we would have beat Florida. I think we would have gone to a bowl game. So I like the way that we ended the year, and it gives me a lot of confidence for the way this is going to go. My concern at this rate, and I've made fun of Miami for this, but I think we're guilty of the same thing in Florida State. We have a tendency, you look since the 2015 season, you look at losing to a Georgia Tech team that finished that year, I believe it was 3-9. We've lost to losing last year to Jacksonville State. You're talking about losing to a Louisville team that had one win in 2020 by the time they played us. There's been a lot of losses that we have no business losing, and that's what concerns me. I think that we're going to lose several stupid games. There's going to be several games at the end of the year, whether we finish 6-6 or 8-4, that we're going to look and go, how the heck did we lose that game? The question is, let's say it's the Louisville game. Let's say it's the Boston College game. Let's say it's the Wake Forest game. It's not letting that snowball into the sky is falling, the season is over just because we lost one stupid game. So that's going to be my question. I know we're going to lose to Clemson. I think it's just that's a given that we're going to lose to Clemson. I think we lose probably NC State, because I think NC State on the road, we can't play well in Raleigh. And I think NC State is probably, I would argue, the second best team right now in the Atlantic Division at this point. The question is going to be, if we lose a stupid game to a Georgia Tech, if we lose a stupid game to Louisville, how do we avoid that snowballing when we lose? If we lose to Georgia Tech, and then the next week we play Miami. If we lose to Louisville, the next week we play Boston College. Are we as good or better than those teams? Yes, but we just cannot let it turn into an effect of, oh, here we go, the season's over.
Mm-hmm. I'd say probably my thing I'm most worried about is probably the quarterback room. Outside of Jordan Travis, it's what really worries me, because I feel like Florida State, and I hope not. I hope not in October you're worried that you didn't bring in a transfer quarterback to be a true backup behind Jordan Travis, at least from what I saw in the spring. If Jordan Travis goes down, and there's heavy past history of him doing that, you're worried about who you're putting there at QB2, in my opinion, after what we saw in the spring. I understand Tate Rodemaker has an arm. You see all the athletic attributes. He can throw it down there, but being a game manager, he was, thrown in there a little bit during the Florida game too. Being a game manager, we haven't seen that at all from him. We haven't seen him lead a team down the field. A lot of things kind of sporadic going on. Was Tate Rodemaker able to make that next step this fall camp? Because I didn't see him make that in the spring. And some people have their own opinions on that, but I truly didn't see much of a change from what we saw in the spring, from what we saw during the fall practices. That's the thing that I hope this Florida State staff isn't going to regret, of not grabbing someone in the transfer portal. If Jordan Travis can stay healthy, then you don't worry about that. But that's a really big risk that Mike Norvell, Coach Atkins, and the Florida State offensive staff are taking. It's a big risk. What I'm more comfortable about, and I wasn't this way going into the spring, I was really worried about the defensive end group after losing Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson. Right now, I feel extremely comfortable about Florida State's defense, but even more. And that's saying something about Adam Fuller, because I've given Fuller some heat here and there. I try to be more realistic than maybe others, but giving him a few things here and there on what we've seen on some Saturdays of interesting things being called, and just the gameplay of that defensive side. But Jermaine Johnson being gone, Keir Thomas, you replace now with Jared Verse and Derek McLendon. You got younger guys too. You've got Pat Payne. You've still got Dennis Briggs, although I think he's still more of an interior guy / outside. You can use him. But Florida State, found the answer there with Jared Verse. I think that's going to be it makes me feel a lot more comfortable about defensive end.
You also defended Adam Fuller after we lost to Jacksonville State, so we won't get there on that one with you for a moment. So here's my question to you.
Got to make a tackle.
Here's my question to you, Nostradamus.
Got to make a tackle.
To you, is A.J. Duffy at some point this season, because you don't sound high on Tate Rodemaker, obviously, and we all understand why. I'm surprised that he did not transfer out. I thought he would have transferred out before Mr. Purdy did. Do you think
there's beautiful women in Tallahassee? There's beautiful women.
I don't disagree with you on that one. That's why you're never leaving. I get it. I understand. Do you think A.J. Duffy at some point can take the number 2 spot? Or do you think Tate has got it solely because of the experience?
Tate's got it because of experience. That's the only reason right there. That was a true freshman spring from him. You saw some upside, and you saw the downsides too. And I think the coaching staff is going to continue with Coach Tokar's developing him, but it's pretty apparent that it would be a shocker to see that he takes that multiple steps of taking that QB2 spot. But I do think it will be, JT Rodemaker, and then you've got AJ Duffy, you got Gino English back there now too. That's just something I'm concerned about heading into more of the season than anything. And
can we
maybe
also
fall camp? Got to stay healthy.
Can we also address the elephant in the room? Is there somebody trying to steal Mark's identity?
Yeah, there's a few people out there with some of those.
Is there somebody trying to be the voice of college football?
They can try. They can try.
I also wonder what bunker you're coming from this week, Mark.
I'm going to
bunker.
You're not in the normal home studio.
No, we're from the bunker. We've had
the bunker.
We're under construction here. So One Scoop John making a better promotion than I could ever come up with. So One Scoop John letting us know right here. Join Mark's Patreon/Discord. $5. You get live streams, private live streams, StreamYard, betting guides. We talk football 24/7, 365. And also Miami fan New King God left a statement that Mark is always knocking Miami.
I think he meant me. I'm the one.
No, he meant me.
No, but I know. But
always on the Miami channel, and he meant me because I just simply pointed out a fact that when Miami went up against Alabama last year, they were blown off the field from the first play. If you go back to the Florida State Alabama game in 2017, it was a competitive game. Logan can outline the play. What was it? 17-7, drop TD pass or deflected pass in the end zone, where Florida State would have gotten to within 3.
I believe so.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a really good football game. Versus Miami got just blown away from the first play of the game.
I know. I cackled about it. It was phenomenal. No, but I think he also meant because I'm the official Miami hater in this room.
Sure you are. I'm not. I'm not a Miami hater.
Logan hates the city of Miami. I just hate the Miami.
I just call it like it is.
Whoa! Don't start getting smoke from Miami natives down there.
Oh,
I'm trying to go. I'm trying to be down there for the game this year. So you put yourself in that position last year where they won, or 2 years ago where they were coming for you. They're going to meet you outside the press elevator and all that.
Which I love. I'm literally sitting there in the stands and all of them. Well, we couldn't find you in the press box. Well, idiots! I wasn't in the press box. I was in the stands with fans. You can't wear this in the press box when they're playing Miami. They don't.
Oh God! What drugs are? Oh no, we're on drugs again down there in the comments.
What do we got?
We're on the doobies.
What's happening?
Well, now it's more legal. It's more legal now, so we kind of start.
Oh, the one trippy. I just posted.
Yeah, Coach Deion Primetime Sanders is the best coach in college football. Did y'all hear what he said in his little speech there of saying, "Here it is, guys. My son is going to be the only starter, along with Travis Hunter, 5-star prospect. Those are going to be the only 2 starters going to this fall camp, no matter what. After that, you're going to have to work for it."
I mean, number one, that's a smart move because his son's the one who's probably going to have to pick out his nursing home at some point later. So that's a smart move on that one. Travis Hunter's probably 1 5-star you have. So, no, that's a smart move.
What about Kevin Coleman?
Deion is the best coach in the SWAC, not named Willie Simmons from FAMU. Shout out.
Well, Jason, I don't want you to give up on the Clemson game. It's probably a loss, but
I'm not giving up on that one either.
Last season, don't give up on that one, and it's at home this year.
But once again, we killed ourselves against Clemson. Sure. Our mistakes are what killed us against Clemson.
But that makes me feel better if that can change.
Exactly.
It would also make me feel a lot more confident if we weren't playing Clemson coming off of NC State the week before. That's my concern right there. Is that you've got NC State on the road the week before. Before that, you have Wake Forest. Do I think we're a better team than Wake Forest? I think we're slightly better if you say team to team. I do think Sam Hartman's a better quarterback than Jordan Travis. I think they have certain positions that are better, but I think as team to team, I think we're slightly better. I think NC State is a better team. So that's my confidence. My concern, is that we go up to NC State, get shellacked, get beat up in Raleigh, and then have to come down and play Clemson the following week.
Until proven otherwise, Wake Forest is a better team than Florida State. Now, if you took each individual athlete on the entire roster and measured them as football players, Florida State probably has more talent than Wake Forest. But Wake Forest has obviously accomplished what they've accomplished, and they're one of the. I see the conference this way. Clemson's the best. They're still the best until I see something different. And I know they didn't win the conference last year, but Clemson's there. And NC State is probably the second best team in the conference. And then there's a collection of Pitt, Miami, North Carolina that are probably just under there. And then at the bottom, you've got Duke is awful. Georgia Tech's close to awful. And then in the middle, you've got this, and this is what's going to play into Florida State's success. They're going to play a ton of teams that are right there with them. Louisville, Boston College, et cetera, Wake Forest possibly, that they need to start crushing that level in the ACC again.
Florida State right now, I would say, if you just look at the Atlantic Division, I think Florida State's a better team than Boston College, a better team than Syracuse, and a better team than Louisville.
Sure.
So let's say in a perfect world we win those 3 games. You've got Clemson at home, Wake Forest at home, at NC State. If you happen to win one of them, and your other 2 games are Miami and Georgia Tech. So on paper, if you go 4-4 in the ACC this season, your chances of making a bowl game are very good because you've got Duquesne, you've got Louisville, you got LSU. So the chances of winning at least 6 games are fine. But that's the question. And I've criticized Miami fans for being overconfident, and I'll criticize Florida State fans. We cannot be overconfident at this point. We have not earned the right to be overconfident. We haven't beat Louisville since 2019. We haven't beat, Clemson since 2014. That's what I'm saying. So this argument that we are on par with these teams, yes, we can look at the roster and say we're a better team than Louisville. We haven't proven it on the field since 2019. So.
And it's going to come down to not making stupid mistakes too, because and that's like you were mentioning that Clemson game, just some silly things going on that put Florida State in a really bad spot. Guys that are starters, you had Lundy there with the late hit, which made no sense whatsoever. I believe Cooper had one too. Just things that you wouldn't expect, and that goes to show guys weren't ready for that. They weren't ready to be put in that position to go to Death Valley and beat Clemson, because that was a very, very vulnerable team. And you also can't have Shipley, that freshman running back, running all over your throat. And I don't even want to go through that again. That was absolutely nightmarish to think of going back at it. But we've moved on. But they're just silly mistakes. You got to hope, too. Now, Norvell, this is his third year at the helm. Things change. Things change with the coaching. Things got to change with making sure that you're put in the right spots. And number 3, don't do stupid stuff. Put yourself in a really bad spot. I love Jared Verse. I love his mentality. I can't wait for people to see that. But one thing that I'm worried about is that he's got too much of that energy, and I put the team in a bad spot. Coaching is what's going to be able to fix that and work with him on it. I think Norvell talked to us during a press conference after a practice, and, things got a little chippy, and he is definitely the biggest trash talker. I think Fabian Lovett said today, Jared Verse is one of the biggest trash talkers on the team. You could do that. You can be competitive and have that edge, but, when it comes down to where it's 7 points, 3 points, 6 points to win a game, and the penalties start adding up and that offense goes and scores on you. That's something that happened to Florida State last year and put them in terrible spots to come away with wins. So I think this team, it's going to be one of the biggest focuses for Mike Norvell and the staff going into this camp.
But Logan, you know what will never disappoint?
Well,
there's something that will never disappoint. Mark, get the banner, please.
Get the banner.
Get the banner, please. It's time. It's time for America's fastest growing segment with MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Jason's hot take. Hot take number 5 of the season. And before we give this hot take, I want all the Miami fans and Florida fans to come watch. Get out of your parents' basement, put down your TV dinner, come back and listen. I need you to listen. You guys ready? Is everyone ready for this? Okay. I want to take you back for a moment. The year 2016. It was a good year. Florida State was actually going to bowl games, winning the Orange Bowl over Michigan, beating Miami and Florida in the same season, winning the state championship for, at that point, 4th season, 6 times in the last 7 seasons before that. It was a good time. It was also the last time that Florida State had a better record than both Florida and Miami in the same season. Florida State went 10-3 that season. Both Miami and Florida had 9 wins. Since then, Florida State has not been the top team out of the Big 3. Until now. Because the hot take number 5, last week I told you that Florida State would finish the season with an 8-4 record. The hot take number 5 is that Florida State will finish the regular season with a better record than both Miami and Florida. That's right. Miami will find a way to choke several games they have no business choking. I think they lose to Florida State. I think they lose to Virginia Tech. I think they lose to North Carolina. I think Miami goes 7-5. And I think Florida will match their robust win total of last regular season and go 6-6 in the first year under Billy Napier. So, for the first time since 2016, Florida State finishes the regular season with a better record than both Miami and Florida. Send your insults now.
I love it. That would just be it's just good for business here. So I would love the controversy, and I would love the friction that it would cause in the comments. Florida State goes 8-4, Miami 7-5, Florida 6-6.
Logan, your thoughts?
I know I was going to say I was muted there, but I do think that also Utah. You can't count out Utah first week for the Gators too. I think Utah's got their number.
There's a legitimate chance, all joking and all kidding aside, if you take a look at the way the schedules play out, there is a chance that Florida State and Miami could start the season 2-0, and Florida could start the season 0-2. They play Utah to start off, and then they host Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll beat Kentucky, but there is a decent chance. I think Florida will lose to Utah. I think they lose to Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Florida State. Granted, it's a tough schedule. Florida has an extremely tough schedule going to A&M, going to Tennessee, Utah coming into the house, LSU coming into their house, going to Georgia. So they do have a very tough schedule this season.
There's really only one team on the Florida schedule that they lose to for sure. Almost for sure they lose to Georgia.
Right.
And then them, like Florida State, have a litany of 50-50 type games or close to it, 60-40 type games. LSU, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, LSU. A lot of those games.
Yeah, they lost to Missouri. They lost to Missouri, got shellacked by South Carolina last season. So
Well, I understand that. That's after their coach got fired and their team was off the rails.
No, Mullen was still the coach for both those games.
I understand. They were dealing. It was a debacle at that point. The season was over. I'm not really going to hold. The games count, but I'm not going to make that a reflection on what they're going to do this year.
I just want to fire up the Miami fans. There's somewhere in Hialeah right now, there's a Miami fan going, bro, what's he saying, bro? Bro, we're going to win 11 games this season, bro. All about the U, bro. That's what's happening right now. Can't believe you said that, bro.
Do you have the list of Miami losses?
Yeah, I legitimately think that Miami loses to Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M
Sure.
and Florida State both go 2-0 against Florida and Miami this upcoming season. I think Miami loses to, let me pull it up real quick. I think Miami loses to A&M. I think they lose to North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Florida State, Clemson. And I think they'll look at this is Miami's problem, is that there's no way on paper they should lose to North Carolina at home, Florida State at home, who you could argue right now they're better on paper than both those teams, but they have had that tendency to lose to teams that are worse than them.
I think Virginia Tech's going to be pretty lousy this year.
They go to Virginia Tech. Last time Miami went to Virginia Tech, they beat them by 1 point. So
true.
They can't get cocky.
Yeah.
None of the three teams right now, the Florida's big three, can be cocky about themselves right now.
That is a true hot take right there.
I bring the heat.
The last few have been strong.
I bring the heat.
Because if you would poll the nation, or we would go to most of the big-time preseason publications, most of them have Miami with the best record out of the state. Then Florida, probably Florida, then Florida State. Florida is probably going to be fringe top 25 to start the season. I don't know if they'll be in the initial AP poll, but they'll be close. And Miami's going to be in the top 15 or so, 15 to 18.
Until A&M blows them out on September 17th.
Yeah, and then I think Florida plays Georgia and then Texas A&M the week after, back to back.
Oh yeah, Florida plays LSU. Florida plays LSU bye week. Georgia, Texas A&M.
I love it.
And that's after Utah and then a couple gimmies, right?
It's Utah, Kentucky, South Florida, Tennessee, Eastern Washington, Missouri, LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Florida State.
Yeah,
they're in deep doodle too. They're in deep doodle.
Yeah, LSU, Georgia, A&M, and South Carolina is a pretty rough stretch. Okay. They get started 0-2. Kentucky's good.
Yeah. Mark Stoops usually has their number too.
He can coach.
Folks,
He can coach.
Folks, next week, join us. First day of practice. Logan will have height, weight, 40-time measurements, length, wingspan of every single player. He'll go over that, so stay tuned.
I might even do the walk-ons, but if we have enough time.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Hit the like. Almost hit. We got to get to 75 likes. We got 145 on. There's 65 likes right now. We can get 10 more likes before we get off. You hit the like button. Hit the like button before you leave. It helps get more FSU fans in here. We got enough Gators in Miami.
Absolutely. Hit the like button. Share the video. Make it on back next week and bring some friends with you for Jason's Hot Take Edition number 6.
They sizzle.
Oh, I hope it's good.
All right, boys. Appreciate you guys making this happen.
We're still rolling.
We're off to Miami.
Still says live.
I know. I'm saying
We're still
goodbye
live.
and thanking you. That's
Thank
part of my send off.
Normally, this is where you say goodbye to us by this point. We're already signed
Now we're
off.
off to Miami, everyone. 7
Gross.
o'clock. Right
Gross.
now, get on over there. Let's talk it up.
Disgusting.